You gain control of J.K. Rowling's Twitter account for a day. What unnecessary piece of information do you add to Harry Potter lore? The Sorting Hat was 100 unnecessary for class distribution. Its primary purpose was to get rid of head lice. Harry doesn't have a left pinky toe. It was the only part of him hurt by the killing curse when he was a baby, and then all of us fan theorists will wonder why Lily didn't love his left pinky toe. I'm writing a new book. I'll make her add a lot more lore by bumping community expectations. The composition of the wand means nothing. A wizard could use a plastic drinking straw and it would work just fine, as long as they expect it to work. Voldemort's parents were anti-vax. I don't think I could top the post she made about wizards disappearing their poo with magic before Muggles invented toilets. All Hogwarts students are required to take a sex ed course. The teacher? Hagrid. Snape was a stamp collector. This is the real reason James Potter bullied him. George Weasley was adopted. Not Fred though. Hermione was actually a collective delusion shared by Harry and Ron. Buckbeak is an animagus who is fully intelligent and capable of turning back into a human at any time, but doesn't because it's his fetish. The sock that freed Dobby was actually a Potter family heirloom, having been worn by Bobby Charlton in the 1966 FIFA World Cup final. The Potters were very quiet about how they came to acquire it. Potter Puppet Pals is now canon. Hagrid's dog Fluffy and Mrs. Norris were lovers. The protagonist was actually the flying car, and everything after is just epilogue. Fred came back as a ghost. Harry's favorite finger, for no particular reason, is his left index finger. I'd clarify that Dumbledore wasn't really gay, just gay for pay. Figure that way, nobody is happy. Moaning Myrtle was masturbating in the bathroom when she dies, hence the name Moaning Myrtle. She was reported as crying based on what an ignorant first year claimed. Professor Snape was a single mother. Make the fan theory that the surviving Weasley twin becomes the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka later in life. The My Immortal fanfic is now 100 canon. Thank you. JKR. At the time of bringing his kids to Platform 934 at the end of the 7th book, Harry is out on bail for wizard tax evasion due to hiring Percy as his accountant. Harry and Ron use some of Hermione's hair polyjuice potion to kill some time in the dormitories. In order to have the feast so lovingly described, House Elves of Hogwarts had perfected the art of reusing leftovers multiple times. They secretly go to cheap restaurants and learn from Muggles. Recently they discovered internet, and now Dean Thomas's mother prints out for them every tip and trick she can find at Frugal Living blogs. There's a witch writer called K.J. Lowring, famous for her Muggle book series Harold Rogers, where the protagonist engages in wacky Muggle adventures. Edit: 48 inbox notices and not one Hogwarts letter. Hagrid was a metaphor for the misunderstanding and mistreatment of furries. Ron grew up to become Ed Sheeran. Fred and George Weasley switched places during the Battle of Hogwarts. When George died, Fred adopted George's life, complete with cutting off his ear because he figured George wouldn't want him to spoil the joke. That most people don't play beyond their early 20s because they develop Quidditch asshole. After Book 2 and the Polyjuice experiments, Ron and Hermione permanently switched places. Harry pronounces it GIF, not GIF. Underneath the robe, Professor McGonagall is actually two twin dwarfs standing on each other's shoulders. They take turns being on top so the other doesn't get tired. That the cauldron Voldemort was rebirthed in during Goblet of Fire used to belong to Horace Slughorn. It was gifted to his favorite student, Tom Riddle, the year Riddle left Hogwarts. Buckbeak was a metaphor. I would 100 post that meme J.K. Rowling reveals that you, the reader, were gay all along. But besides that, I would talk about the required procedure behind the pre-plumbing shitting wherever you want then making it disappear thing. Also, WTF JKR? Why couldn't they have had magical outhouses? Why did it have to get weird? Yet the reason Dumbledore didn't bring back Harry's parents with the Time Turner is because Dumbledore always wanted a son of his own, but then changed his mind a few years later and dumped him at the Dursleys. I double down and declare that some of the older teachers at Hogwarts would forget they were supposed to use toilets now, so occasionally they'd just drop true and urinate in front of everyone. Twilight is absolutely in the same universe. Hagrid tried faux and didn't really care for it. Voldemort's penises also have snake-slit noses. Hogwarts in the 60s was a drug-fueled Technicolor dancing orgy every night, and the only reason it doesn't come up more often is because not a lot of people clearly remember it. Voldemort doesn't have a butthole after resurrection. The Loch Ness Monster is someone who tried Polyjuice potion with basilisk DNA. Harry put his name in the Goblet of Fire. Muggle orphanages know about magic, and when an orphan shows magical prowess they phone the Ministry of Magic for pickup and leave the baby outside. The ministry hasn't figured out how voicemail works and never come to pick up the children. Completely unnecessary? X200B. For a brief time in 1956, teenaged wizards used to bewitch vacuum cleaners to use in lieu of broomsticks. When you're using the invisible cloak, you're not actually invisible, you're naked, they just choose to ignore you as to not make things awkward. Harry was born with a third testicle. Teenage wizards would jack off in front of the hottest moving paintings. All of the really batshit information, Nagini being a cursed Korean lady, the vanishing shits, the whole cursed child play, all of that was just a quibble or article. Oh Xeno Lovegood, you endearing fruitcake. I actually always envisioned Dumbledore aggressively asking Harry, maybe even yelling, if he put his name in the Goblet of Fire. There is a Wizarding World version of Magic, the Gathering, called Muggles, the Congregation. Edit, thanks for the gold, kind stranger. Harry wakes up in Hogwarts and everyone is gone for Christmas vacation when he has to defend the school from being robbed by Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern. Edit, Silver? Damn, thanks Yale. D. Ron likes to take all his clothes off when he poops.